먼저 랜드 코퍼레이션에서 오신 앤드류 스코벨 박사님께서 발표를 먼저 해주겠습니다. 예, 부탁드립니다.
First of all, I'd like to thank Inks and the sponsoring entities for organizing this conference, and for including me in the program. I'm going low tech today. No PowerPoint. My paper looks at an apparent case study on how China signals its discontent to North Korea. This is I'm part of a panel on North Korea as a nuclear power, but my paper is not really directly related to the issue of North Korea's nuclear program. It looks at China's policy towards North Korea. I think I would say that the relationship between China and North Korea is one of the most unusual between two countries anywhere in the world. And fraught with paradoxes and contradictions. On the one hand, China and North Korea are formerly military allies, but they don't train together. And to the best of my knowledge, there is no integrated command structure between the People's Liberation Army and the Korean People's Army. Also, China and North Korea are brother communists, but they don't really cooperate or coordinate on very much at all. And maybe I shouldn't read into this very much, but there's a panel tomorrow on North Korea's friends, and I take it from being part of my paper not being on that panel that China is not a friend of North Korea. Being tongue-in-cheek about that. But I think one thing's fairly clear, and that is that China is not very happy with North Korea. What North Korea has been doing and not doing, especially with its nuclear program. So the question, larger question, framing my paper is, what does China do when it's not happy with North Korea? And one thing it's clearly not doing when a country is really extremely upset with another country, they'll often tell them to go jump at a lake. They will abandon them, or they might even go to war with them. Well, so far we haven't seen China fight North Korea, but we also haven't seen China abandon North Korea. So I'll be happy to elaborate on why I think China is not abandoning North Korea, but I think it only need to reference the first presentation of the previous panel, which I think it was the first presentation, that outlined the significant and substantial economic interactions between China and North Korea. So simply looking at the economics, China is doing anything but abandoning North Korea. So back to my paper. So it focuses on the year 2013 and examines what China's efforts to signal its dissatisfaction to North Korea. 2013 was quite an eventful year on the Korean Peninsula, and for that matter in China, a new leader took over in Beijing, President Xi Jinping, and there was a sense that Xi Jinping was having a rethink on China's North Korea policy, he appeared to be getting tougher, with intent on getting tougher with the North Koreans. And he was particularly unhappy after North Korea's third nuclear test in February of that year. And a couple of events that I just want to mention in passing. In early June of that year, there was the so-called short-sleeve summit between President Xi and President Obama in Sunnylands, California. And later in the month of June, President Park Geun-hye of South Korea paid a visit to China. It appears, it's reported anyway, that in both of those meetings between the presidents of South Korea and China and China and the United States, that seemed to be a meeting of the minds where the Chinese side appeared to agree that there needed to be a tougher approach on North Korea. At the end of July in 2013, the 60th anniversary of the Korean armistice, signing the Korean armistice, was commemorated. Significantly, in China, the commemoration was very low-key. Also related to that, the Chinese sent a delegation to Pyongyang to be part of the commemoration ceremonies, and the head of the Chinese delegation was Vice President Li Yuanchao, and the leading military official was the Deputy Director of the General Political Department, Lieutenant General Jia Ting-an. What was significant about this, one of the most significant things from my perspective, was neither of these two leaders were top-tier Chinese leaders. Li was not a member of the Politburo Standing Committee, and General Jia was not a member of the Politburo Standing Committee. So China wasn't ignoring North Korea at this commemoration, but it was certainly sending a signal that they were not happy with what North Korea was doing. A large portion of my paper also looks at another, what would seem to possibly be another effort by China to signal its discontent. And that was my research in this topic was triggered by a report in Zhongyang Ilbo in late July 2013, reporting that Beijing had changed the terminology it used to describe the conflict in Korea from 1950 to 1953 from the Resist America, Aid Korea War to simply the Korean War. And if this indeed was the case, it would be quite a significant change, because Kangme-Yanchao, or Resist America, Aid Korea, was very much a political statement, and emphasized the contribution in blood and treasure of the Chinese communists in the Korean War, whereas Chaoshen Janjang, or Korean War, was much more a much more neutral term. So to spare you all the gory details, I went and looked at the frequency the use of these terms in a variety of official and authoritative documents and found that they fluctuated significantly over time. But both terms were used from the early 1950s on. So there's really the data did not reflect any dramatic change in terminology. However, this one, as I just mentioned, is a lot more politically and symbolically charged than the other, emphasizing China's contribution to the conflict versus a conflict that occurred on China's periphery that China happened to contribute forces to. What is also interesting is very shortly after that report in the South Korean newspaper came out, the leading authority on the conflict, the Korean War in China, a major general at China's National Defense University, came out with an article in the Global Times, which is one of the most prominent media outlets in China, emphasizing that the South Korean report was erroneous. So that says to me that this issue is considered very important. And in that article, the Major General explained that the term Korean War refers to the first phase of that conflict from June 1950 until October of the same year. And the Resist America, Aid Korea war describes the period after Chinese intervention. So that's an important distinction, an important point of clarification. As I said, I think that the fact that such a high-profile and authoritative statement to clarify that was made suggests that this is a very sensitive and important topic continues in Chinese political discourse. So I will stop there because I know I'm going to get a question that will allow me to elaborate and bring some of these points up to date. Thank you.